that the year can represent. This opportunity, we have to believe that something can be different. This can be a wonderful year, because it will be wonderful not by the set of material we go, the material we will achieve. No, it may be that we take steps back, that we get less, that we choose to have less. But if we make an effective and spiritual investment this year, I want it to be a year where I am going to love a lot. I want to be present in the lives of the people I love. I want to be present in the lives of my children, my friends, my father, my mother. I want to be present in the lives of my brothers. I want to be present in the lives of those who work with me. I want to opt for a year that makes me more child, simpler, with fewer complications. I sometimes say within our religious experience, this hypocrisy, it compromises the whole result. God sometimes loses the opportunity to access our hearts because of our resistance, or because of the cultivation of our addictions. St. Augustine said that even for us to feel sorry for the mistake he makes, we already need to be under the influx of grace. So let's ask this, that the grace of God happens today our hearts, opening our eyes to conscience, so that we can realize everything that today needs to be touched by the merciful love of Jesus, and that from this love, this mercy, we can go back to our place. Assume the place again, seek what is essential for us to be what God wants us to be, or rather, so that we may be what God knows we can be. And we have many days ahead to do this cleaning of the soul, apart from all that prevents us from living the life that we can really live. Once I found a lady at the airport, and she was already very elderly. She was accompanied by her son, and she touched my shoulder like this. In very serenity, she said to me, at 92, which is the age I have today, she told me that I could see how much I was a prisoner of this defect. I don't know how much time I have left, Father Fabio, but I know that that day the reflection that the Lord made illuminated my conscience in a way that is like I had ripped him with his hand, and I no longer allowed myself to live according to the rules of that defect. Do you know when you realize that you participated in the other's process? How many times do I realize living on the rules of my defects? Because when I start living on the rules of my qualities, I get lighter to the other. I am happier. I am naturally more interesting. The first movement we live in conversion is the satisfaction of being who we are. Because sometimes we keep thinking that our conversion is to please God, or God is happy as we are. So when I want to correct a defect of mine. For that, the church teaches us the dynamics of sacrifices, right? Because a human being who lives adapted to his defects, a human being who lives under the rules of his defects, he is unbearable. He is difficult at work. He is difficult within the family. He is difficult in the love relationships he will live. Why? Because he's a porcupine, right? You are always ready to throw your thorns on others. He's difficult for himself. You can observe. Very difficult people are difficult for them. Before being unbearable to others, they are unbearable to themselves. That's why they have so much difficulty dealing with being with others, being instrumental of good things. So if I do not break the rules of my defects, if I do not bother to stop being adapted to them, my addictions, if I do not make this movement, I will become an unbearable person. And this is very interesting, because this must be for us a conversion thermometer. Am I bearable? Because sometimes people, they forget to allow God to transform their hearts. Sometimes it transforms only the outside aspect. But what about the heart? What is this that makes me before each other? I particularly say that we Christians are great for atheism in the world, or our lack of testimony. Sometimes we have years and years and years of religious belonging, 20 years of priest, 30 years of bishop, and we are unbearable. We are inelegant. We are rude. I don't know where God is in this story. If God's process in our lives is precisely to tame our heart, is to make us break the rules of defects. We are no longer adapted to evil. If I get an unbearable person to others, I need to review how much of God has happened in me. What conversion is this that does not make me a lighter person to others? It is the first sign, my people, whom they say religious, because it is the fruit of spirituality in US. I don't feel better than anyone. I look into others without pretending to be better than them. If I'm a good boss, it's okay to be hard. The good boss is usually hard, demanding but never arrogant, demanding but never intolerant, demanding but not unbearable. You know that once, in the face of a difficulty I was having, a moment I was experiencing difficult in my life, I was realizing that my team was afraid of me. And nothing can be worse than that. It is one thing for your team to have respect for you. Another thing is that she is afraid of you. When I scare others, I need to review my conversion very honestly. I can't understand that, you know? When I, in the exercise of being who I am, distract people, pretend they don't exist, that you think the best, the goodness in history. How many times do we see this? When passing through the building, the porter who is there, my God, this man participates in my life. He can until I don't get into my house every day, but I pass it every day. I want to know who he is. I want to know his name. I want to participate. I want to settle with him from that small moment we are. Sometimes people do not look in each other and we say they are converted or that it is in the process of conversion. Okay, but what process is that not accelerating our simplicity, our lightness? God sometimes loses the opportunity to access our hearts because of our resistance or because of the cultivation of our addictions. Sometimes you can't recruit the best in yourself. It is being shot down. That's IT. All of us, if we do not take care, we are losing the reference to reality. What we really need to do. For what? Do it to achieve the best of us. I break the rules of defects so I can start living on the rules of virtues. I have sensitivity, the simplicity of identifying my excesses. What makes me a difficult person and start working. The sooner I start working this, the greater the benefit, which is good for us to live the conversion. We get more enjoyable. We are happier. And this is the first benefit of conversion. I want to change what is unbearable in me. To me and to others. First, because I deserve this transformation. Second, because others deserve it. And the dynamics of this merit, the others being God is. Because God rejoices a lot when a child recognizes what is still immersible in him. God rejoices deeply every time we make a healing, restoration, change of habits movement. God rejoices deeply every time we live the consequences of conversion. Because these consequences, they act directly on our character. We are getting different as God goes. St. Augustine, may the grace of God happen today in our hearts, opening our eyes to conscience. Wow. And that from this love, this mercy, we can return to our place. Take over the place. Go back to seek what is essential for us to be what God wants us to be. It is easy for you to approach a child. Even at first, she can treat you with a certain disdain, but soon you will break the barrier with her, and you become a close person. She gets a confidence in you. The child has a system that revolves around few needs. We do not. Our world is very complex, and Jesus says that if we want to enter the heart of things in the heart of the world, we need to achieve this simplicity. God rejoices deeply every time we make a healing movement of restoration, change of habits. God rejoices deeply every time we live the consequences of conversion. Because these consequences act directly on our character. We are getting different as God enters. We are building this way. The more I allow this project of simplicity to take care of my heart, the greater the possibility I have to be a favorable response to the world. An answer that helps build as there are so many people today unwilling to build absolutely nothing. Father Fabio, if I get an unbearable person to others, do I need to review how much of God has happened in me? My people, it's not just the toxins that addicted us, but we kill the other in another way. We kill our contempt with our arrogance, We point to each other cruelly and still feel Christian for it. When we do not give the other the opportunity to be who he is. When we limit you to be that character we imagine. I don't like that person because they are like that. Who said, "Did you imagine this?" And Jesus teaches us. We who are Christians understand eternity as a beautiful and happy opportunity to be in God and with the people we love. Want and seek this kingdom of God already gives us the opportunity to start building this kingdom here today. Because it is natural that if I want to live this eternity, if I try to deserve this eternity through my attitudes, I will naturally be a better person. Those who aim at the kingdom of heaven lives this prusa of making the human kingdom very pleasant. That's when we choose to reduce the differences between us. When we are willing to be a little more loving, to respond less with hatred. So people's love is the main engine for our transformation. So if we have a house where people love each other, where love, the bond is cultivated, we will certainly have a very favorable environment for the happiness and realization of people. And this is interesting because when I am truly loved by someone, I end up accepting the word of the one who loves me. I want to change what is unbearable to me and others. First, because I deserve this transformation. Second, because others deserve it. And I am in the dynamics of this merit. The others being, God is. Because God rejoices a lot when a child recognizes what is still a hindrance to his fulfillment. Jesus says that for us to reach this kingdom, for us to enter the kingdom that is eternal, it's when I get away not to cling to what it is excess. You can observe a child. Your first understanding of the world is your most urgent need. She can't see beyond that. The context of a child is very simple. It is a very simple context. It is very straightforward. It does not have much complication. As we get adult, we will complete the structure of our lives. We are having a lot of needs. We build so many structures for us to be happy. A child not. He releases a child in a field with his father, with his mother, a ball, a bicycle, and the world is perfect. But as we grow up, we are creating needs, and we are increasingly distancing themselves from happiness, because we impose so many conditions for us to be happy, that it is difficult to achieve this happiness. We can't lose. We don't have the right to do this to us. Met the opportunity to make our sufferings worthwhile. And I say again, if we don't make this movement of simplicity, to simplify our processes, we will not be friends with anyone, because we will always be in the prejudice anteroom, or in the anteroom of grudge, hurt, and the hatred. How many times do I realize living on the rules of my defects? Because when I start living on the rules of my qualities, I get lighter to the other. I am happier. I am naturally more interesting. Even to me, it's not for the other. No. The first movement we live in conversion is the satisfaction of being who we are. Because sometimes we keep thinking that our conversion is to please God. 4. God is happy as we are. Today we had in Paris a manifestation of hatred, of intolerance when our heart is visited by this kingdom of heaven, this desire to deserve the kingdom. We anticipate with our attitudes. This is why the Christian proposal is deeply existential. It encompasses our life. It is not a theory that puts us only kneeling before a sacred altar. Christianity is, first and foremost, a proposal to have within our head, in our mental system, a way of being and living. I particularly say that we Christians are great responsible for atheism in the world for our lack of testimony. Sometimes we have years and years and years of religious belonging. 20 years of priest, 30 years of bishop. We are inelegant. We are rude. I don't know where God is in this story. If God's process in our lives is precisely to tame our hearts, it is to make us break the rules of defects. We are no longer adapted to evil. If you have this, if you give yourself the right to have it, to uncomplicate, to live this stripping that makes you happy, then it's on the right track. I think this is the mystique that we all need to live daily. This novelty. Modify the fuel you are putting in your life. Begin to allow life to be better. It worked with other people. It can work with you too. Animate yourself. Solve your questions. Ask for forgiveness to who you need to ask. Reconcile with those who are distant. Distant. Perhaps it is not even to make it back, to reestablish bonds. No, just for you to relieve your heart. For you not to carry these bags anymore. Forgiving does not mean bringing the other back to our lives. Sometimes we forgive it is precisely so that the distance is light, be beneficial to me and the other, be happier. Commit to Jesus. Discover the unfolding of this faith in God, which can make you believe a little more. Be more willing to live suffering at the right time so that you will soon be free from it. Suffering has to be a passage to make us better. It doesn't have to be definitive. The struggle is definitive, but the suffering of the struggle is once and when. Fighting does not have to be synonymous with pain, hurt, suffering. Not wait. The fight can be to make us happy. The moment you fight, you need to be happy, because you are aware that you are doing the right thing. So we find that Christmas can be every day, because this Renaissance struggle is not inside us. People die. People get tired of us. People leave. People cheat us. Because that's how it is. But why happened to me? I am such a good person. And it happens with good people and bad people. It's no use wearing kicking. Life will not be different because we are not enjoying it the way it is. Life has a lot of personality, is an absolutely own lady of herself. She is not at all worried about the opinion we have. She is not in need to stop to hear what we were going to say from her. Life is sovereign. Life is above all. And it gives the rules the way it wants so. If she gets out of getting into our lives now and dismissing everything, she does, because she is not under control. No one controls life. The most we can do is observe her movement. Just as I am walking. But I keep an eye on life. I am observing here what their rules are, which usually works, which usually goes wrong, which this lady likes to realize in us. Then I am adapting. I am making a rule here, which seems to hers. This is called common sense. I build an increasingly embodied faith that is putting me with life in a parallel with life, and I think, this is how life is ours. I will try. I will try to do everything so that my rules are similar to their rule. And then you make the most beautiful transgression that a human being can do. Why sometimes we think this illusion that transgresses is to do the opposite of what life asks us. To transgress is to obey its life, its movement. He's tired. Transgress is resting, since in this time no one has the right to rest. Do you need to be silent? Stay. At this time when everyone talks, transgressing is silent. So we are often deceived that transgressing is us to do the opposite of what someone asks for. Transgress is that you do what is right. It is you not to lose sight of what should be executed. And then we become truly revolutionary. And here everything here, life is passing by the side. I'm watching. She follows. She has her way. She has her rules, and is not at all interested in what we are finding or thinking of her. She is owner. I am a subject. You are a are a subject of life. Its shadow is death. It is the same thing. They are not two entities. Take this illusion out of your head that there are two entities, life and death. No, it is one movement only. When I breathe, I make the life movement, which is the first I did. I do the last one. It stopped to think about it. When you were born, you did it. It started. And you will end like this. I will finish like this. For you to renew. So, it's the same movement. Life and death. What kills us is what makes us live. What makes us live can also kill us. We're here. Life has its rules, and this is this. No one has an obligation to make us happy. Be friends with 1,000,000 people, but never stop being your best friend. Believe in the possibility of being happy with many people close to you, but don't be fooled. There will come a time when the only possible happiness is not the one that will be offered to you by others, but for yourself. This is what you are ultimately. You offer yourself. This is what you are giving yourself right now. This is what you are eating right now. He is. That's enough. We have been following the news that life increasingly has been threatened. I suffer in my corner. You suffer in yours. Each suffering this threat in different measures. But one thing is certain. In today's world, a grand reality is established that covers many, many people being threatened by life. And terrible events are being triggered because of strange choices that we have made throughout our lives. So, in the face of so much bad news, what do we need to do? Seek the dose of life that is possible today. We soften the great suffering of the world when we take care of the small sufferings. And even because the great solidarity can only be expressed as small solidarity has been exercised today, right now we can make choices that do well to the world. Who knows, thinking a little about our attitude, about our way of living, what we are insistently watching, about what we are making is important within our hearts today. There is so much death that sometimes comes in within our heart. There is so much power of death that sometimes enters within us. In the abduction, kidnaps others. When a bad thinking takes over us, for example. When the pessimism of the world finds a place in our hearts. When he comes to lodge inside us. Because I'm not immune. Even if I never have the courage to get a gun, I may have the courage to do other ways. But veiled. When I make my speech a form of violence. When I make my attitude a violent attitude, when I dope people even without extending their arms toward them. Even if it is not a declared violence, but sometimes the violence of coexistence. When I do not allow the other to be him. When I do not allow the other to be him. Everything is a form of violence. Strange, but it is. Different. But it is. It's kidnapping. Strange. Different. But it's two. That's why the wisdom of life teaches us that we need to look at what we can do. Faced with so many atrocities, in the face of so many unpleasant things that today happen to us, that today happen in people's lives, we can react. Do we have no right to close our pessims in our hopes of hope? Our absences of hope do not change the world. What changes is the moment when we roll up the sleeve and say, look, I'll take care of what I can. I have my house here. I will look in my children's eyes, and I will see if they are not being victims of violence, which can one day become news on television. Because if we do not take care of today's violence, small, minimal, and veiled, it may be that it comes to surprise us in a big way any day. Great tragedies happen in small carelessness. And when we humans commit ourselves to the order of things, the order of our home, to the vigilance of our family, our home, we are somehow protecting it, so that these great violence will not come to also happen inside our house. I consider it a martyrdom. It is a martyrdom we need to read. Look at that event and find out what it can teach us. That is why in the face of this Calvary that today the whole of Brazil is having the opportunity to see and contemplate, we need to stop. We need to look at this scene and with her learn something. Only those who have read the books of Father Fabio de Mello knows how transformative they are. Make us reflect and change our way of seeing life. If you haven't read it yet, don't miss this big chance. Learn more by clicking on the description links. Coincidence or not, several people talking about the same thing. Just get some on here. Lucia Rosa, for example. The theme is, Father, what do I lack? I had a serious crisis of depression. I didn't want to know to live. I ended up improving after many treatments. But nowadays, I am a sad person. Seems that something is missing in my life. I'm formed, I work in my area, but I am ashamed of myself. In this world where success, beauty, and wealth are so exalted, I feel a loser. My accounts are up to date. My health too. My family's great. I have a stable relationship with the man I love. But I'm insecure. I feel weak. And I think I'll collapse the bullet. I feel a failure. Your words touch my heart, but I can't put them into practice. Another, Gabriela. In recent days, Father, I have felt an absence, a lack, a loneliness within me. Nothing that prevents me from working, studying as I do every day. But it is a big foul that I have felt after a relationship that has over 5 months. And in recent days, I have been missing a lot. Father, I'm writing because I need a lot of help. I'm living the worst moment of my life and I don't know what to do. On August 12th, Father's Day, thank God I was saved in time and today I am here asking for help. Because I cannot raise myself. I am feeling weak, without courage, willing to give up everything. I have prayed, I have gone to church, but it seems that there is nothing advanced. I feel my heart increasingly agonized, full of grudge, sadness, and bitterness. Father, I'm 19 years old and would like to vent. I'm going through a complicated phase. I'm unemployed, going badly to the psychology college that my father pays to me. Last semester, I took 3 dependencies from stories, and I will have to redo them. This semester, I'm worse. I am unmotivated, without seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. I feel useless. And I'm afraid of not being a good professional. Because my mother always states to me, you will be a professional who knows nothing. I'm looking for HR internship, but it's getting harder and harder. I've thought of wanting to die. Because nothing seems to work except for other people. How to get rid of this feeling that I am a failure. That was Cassia. Now here, Nusa. Father, we had a case, an attempt at suicide in our family. I'm very worried because I've seen a lot of suffering around me, and many people looking for suicide as a solution to life. Father, what is happening to us? Why are people losing meaning to life and giving up living for any reason? Noisa Maria, Sao Paulo. Seeing, I have for myself, my people, that life. It is difficult for everyone. We all have reason to give up. We all have a strong reason today. We could say so. To elect and speak. Look, I'm justified. I'll deliver the points now. Many of us, you may be watching us in this group, of those who are justified, those who have a serious reason to give up life, or even to assume this failure as definitive and stop fighting. Justified, you may well justify, assuming it to yourself. Look. I don't want it anymore. Now I ask, what is missing our hearts to reach a point of this? I don't know, I may be wrong. But at other times, it seemed that people were more willing to live, right? They faced the difficulties more courageously. Talk to your grandfather. Talk to your grandmother. I am very worried about our unpreparedness to suffer. I am very worried how we are today delivering the points very easily. Or as we are here, like the first three I read, full of reason to live, full of positive experiences, to analyze and consider, right? Looks at life and finds that there is a lot of good things, but deep down something we don't know how to name. What has we are missing, my people? What after sought so much, having achieved so much? Because today the first great feature of the modern world is precisely this. It is the opportunity that Sartre already said, very wisely, in the reading he made of this modern world, that the source of anguish was precisely the possibilities. The more the human being can, the more he is distressed. Strange that, isn't it? Power much causes us discomfort. Today you can choose so many things for life. You can go to so many places. And that distresses you. Or after you have already won a lot. During the process of passing between entering here and going out here, if it offered, it hurt. Pay attention. Maybe the other is giving you a happy opportunity for you to correct in you what you arrived in a way you would not choose. It was being offended that you felt the encounter with the truth was painful. It was unpleasant. But it was also a happy opportunity you had to move forward, to evolve her. I say again, the great desire of each of us, the great commitment of each of us should always be evolution. We want to reach the best version that is at our disposal. For this, we are religious. I am a very happy Catholic Christian within my concept of faith. Christianity made sense to me. I don't know what your religion is, but I know your religion has instrumental. The best of yourself? The best of yourself? It is what God wants from us. Whatever religion, what we need to understand is that it will need to be a place for us, an opportunity to reach the best of us. I, as a Christian, say all the encounters of Jesus were like this. They were to promote the best of the people he found. So even if you arrive through an offense, pay attention. Before you get angry, before refusing, we need to love each other a lot. The cycle of self-love is very difficult to be experienced. Because we have a self-appreciation very often, we go into self-appreciation experiences that are absolutely harmful to us. We have a hard time managing our failures, from the smallest to the most bulk. Suddenly, you couldn't be as you would like to be. Suddenly, you didn't do what you would like to have done. From the most elementary choices, my people, what in philosophy we call accidental, which has nothing to do with the essence yet. It's just accidental. It's releasing. We make accidental choices all the time. The clothes we will wear, the place we will eat. But there are choices that are essential, which are those that change your structure, which modify who you are. So, what is interesting? The experience of realizing that in your daily life keeping self-love means you reconcile with the accidental and unfortunate choices you made. And depending on the accidental choice, it reverberates in essence. You accidentally chose a boyfriend, for example. Did you have a million men to choose from? Yes, because you are a woman who has... Then you choose that guy. Then you chose that guy. It was accidental. At first, it is accidental. Why is it accidental? Because it could be another. It is not a reality that you cannot replace it. Then living with that person who first moment was accidental, deepening, 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 and suddenly it became an essential relationship because it began to modify the deepest structures of its personality. The person who was accidental began to be in essence with you. And then, sometimes, these people can be terrible in our lives. They can spoil us. They can remove us from the axis of our truth. They can spoil us. They can hurt us. They can spoil us emotionally. Then what was accidental at first and repercussions essentially. So that's why. All the time we are experimenting. Accidental choices with which we frustrated. We frustrate a lot in an accidental experience. Then this frustration plays consequences in our essence, in our truth. So we are very undermining the structure of self-love. It is self-love that protects us from everything, including this story of being offensible or not. When I love myself, when you love yourself, when you have a respect for you, every time you are slandered, is it difficult? And what are you going to try to do? Not paying attention to slander, not spending energy on slander, not spending time on slander. It's the same thing as you fall on the asphalt, grate your hand, and when you start healing, you go thin again. This is to cultivate the offense. This is to cultivate slander. This is to strengthen the slanderer within us, or the negative energy that someone offered us on a tray. Who decides not to keep this? It is the self-love soldier, waiting for the self-love. So, waiting for your self-love, waiting for your self-love, is that you will scream. Keep it. Don't keep it. Keep it. But don't keep it. It's self-love. This instance I will invent here. I don't know if I'm talking a nonsense. There are the psychologists who want to correct me. But I could say that self-love is the smartest emotional instance we can have in us. Am I wrong to say that? To think that self-love is the smartest instance in us. It is she who will discern everything that we will keep or throw away. It's interesting to think like that. I like to think like that. If it's wrong, then I'll correct myself over time. But the instance of self-love as something that is very purified, very certain, is the same as consciousness. When we talk about conscience, and I always like to say that God speaks to us by conscience. Why? Because consciousness is a place that is very pure in us. Why don't we sleep with quiet conscience? Because we fill it with impurity. She knows everything we do wrong. When we do not have a purified consciousness, we do not sleep, we are very bad. We are bothered by what made by decision or what they said, that acted. So what is interesting? I think that my conscience is the place of my self-love, and it is self-love that protects us. You are being invaded all the time. I'm not afraid of air. I'm sure you are being invaded all the time by people who have respect for you and who invade with good things. Because being invaded is not all bad, right? I am invaded by good people. I am opened by good people who bring positive energy, who bring me good words, which bring me good proposals, that bring me good deeds, good fluids. Excellent. But we are also being invaded by people who bring us many bales, many weights, many unpleasant situations. And this is where we are going to screen, which we will choose to keep from all this that is invasion in our life. Positive invasions, negative invasions. So it is self-love. This guardian, this soldier, who will be able to screen what we will keep in us and what we will reject. If you offend you, pay attention. Why are you offending you? Do you have any connection with your truth? It is quite possible that yes, It is quite possible that the offensive word is showing you what you don't like to recognize. And you feel scared when someone says that somehow is making public what you would like to stay forever behind the scenes. When it is slander, no, there is no connection to the truth. So, enter here, leave here, and no longer come back. The offenses that hurt us are the ones that reveal the truths we want to hide. When they are not minimally aligned with our truth, we want. They enter one ear and leave the other. And then some people say, "No, priest." But how do we do it when we are slandered? Of course I'll be shaken. Of course I'll be upset. And of course the offense hurts. Yes, my people. The first thing we need to distinguish is that offense is very different from slander. When the other offends me, he is telling me something that concerns me or not. So, if it doesn't concern me, it's slander. So there is already a natural filter of understanding. The natural filter of understanding will help me distinguish whether what the other is telling me is an offense, or if what the other is telling me is slander. If the other is slander at me, it's different. He's not offending me, he may even have an offense load, but what he is doing is more serious. Here I mean that, yes, we have a huge difficulty to recognize what is fragile in us. It's very difficult. I have difficulty recognizing my defects. And when someone offends me from a defect I have, and I do everything to keep that defect under care, under disguise, immediately I have that indisposition that the other is telling me. Then another offered me because somehow found a truth inside me. What he is saying, if it is not slander, the differentiation is there. If he has not invented that, it is offending me because somehow has touched a reality of my personality, my way of being that bothers me. And of course it bothers me because I know that somehow is minimally aligned with a truth that I have to hide. Similarly, when I listen, I get, wow. But what absurd that this person is saying or writing or talking, right? Then what happens inside me? I naturally do a distancing process and say, no, what this person is saying, that this person is writing, has no alignment with my truth. Of course, it hurts. We get upset, but it doesn't take long. You don't let it take inside you. When I say, come in the ear, go out the other, it's because it won't be long. I am not minimizing the unpleasant effect that people have on us when they offend us. I'm just saying that when we know it has no connection with our truth, we let it pass. We do not feed back. Why? What does it hurt us so much in behavior? And often we adopt highly destructive behaviors for that. I listen, re-will, listen, rest, and stay in that cycle. Then I keep doing that vicious cycle. So a person writes something very unpleasant to make amends. If I know this is offending me, I pay attention. Why are you offending me? Do you have any alignment with my truth? He has, it's okay. Let me pay attention to this that the person is saying. Maybe this offense may even help me identify my behavior and make a modification. Positively change something that can get better in me. Because of criticism that come from outside. Guys, when we want to grow, even the criticism of those who don't love us helps us. Write this in your heart, your understanding. When you want to grow, even the criticism of those who don't love you will help you grow. Everything can be transformed into instrumental transformation. What is cool is that when we identify that that word is often slanderous, it has no connection with our truth. That word has no reason. Makes no sense to us. What do you do? Enter the ear and go out in the other. As it passes, it hurts. While you read, hurt, but you don't let it take it. So that's what I was talking about. I have a horror of simplifying what to the other is important. So I don't want it all with my way of thinking, making you believe that what offends you is not important. No and yes. But I wanted you to pay more attention to what you really offend you. If you are offending you, you may have some reason. Now, if it is slander, if you have no connection to the truth, if you are completely misaligned with what you know of you, enter one ear and go out for another, and do not take long. It cannot be long because it is an exercise in self-love. It is difficult, and it is very difficult. Even today, in some answers that I gave, I said, look, it is an extremely painful process because it requires a lot of spiritual maturity. You come to the conclusion, the other is offending me because he is right. And I don't like to recognize myself like that. But he's right. When the other calls me selfish, when the other calls me possessive, when the other calls me envious, when the other calls me vain somehow, what the other is telling us concerns what the other realizes in us. It concerns our personal truth. So it causes suffering. We suffer. But it should not suffer. We should not suffer. We should interpret that warning as an opportunity to get out of it because many, or rather, sometimes it is even good to suffer. Yes, sometimes it is even good to suffer. We should not suffer is when what the other is saying is just a projection of oneself. He is projecting himself to me, and we should have this emotional and spiritual maturity that would put us in this stance of thinking, no, the other does not have no reason for what you are saying. So come in here and go here. I say again, if in the process of passing by and out here, it hurts a little. It's normal. We are human. Words bleed with the same intensity as a dagger can bleed a body. Bleed our sensitivities. Bleed what is fragile in us. So it is no problem you realize that it bled, that it hurt to hear what you heard, that it hurt to read what you read. Only do the exercise of rationalizing this. What the other wrote is not his truth. What the other said is not your truth. So, if the other is saying, if the other is writing, it is an impression that he has and should not bother you so much. Because you know that your truth belongs to you, and you are already properly clarified that what he is slander, you do not correspond to what you know. Ultimately, my people are worth that rule. Others imagine we know who we are. And between keeping what the other finds in God knows between what God knows about us, I have no doubt that it is much more worth keeping with what God knows of each of us. Therefore, we keep our perseverance, keep our attention, keep our keen sensitivity to separate offenses from slander. Offenses are often associated with a truth that we do not want to recognize. Slander are situations that others invented for us, that therefore, because they have no connection with the truth, they will only bother us.